Alright guys, we are back in the garage. So we left off, we were doing compression test, leak down test, and tearing down the engine, see what the damage was. And we had a cracked ring land on the number one cylinder with the low compression. And I was editing that footage and I was looking at the compression test results, and number two cylinder was like 135 or something like that. I'm like, man, that's pretty low when I'm thinking about it now. And the other two were 185, 195, something like that. So I decided I would just pop that one out. Everything's already torn apart. It's two rod bolts, and push it out. Had a cracked ring land on that one as well. So now I'm 2 cylinders down. The other two had good compression, but I just don't really trust it anymore. So I'm gonna just do pistons and rods in the whole thing. It's going to be probably a week or so before they get here. So in the meantime, I have some other projects I can work on while the car is down. I have a catch can for the engine too. Got that right there, little catch can. I got the port for the back of the block around here, so I'm going to rig that all up. Then I have this racing seat. I have this racing seat here, this Corbeau. She's been through a little bit, but she will get the job done for Wagon Hunter. And I'm going to adapt that seat to the factory slider, and because the CRV seats have such a riser on them. So I'm using the factory seat bracket and slider, I guess. And this side I unbolted the piece that goes on there, and then this side here I'm actually gonna cut this down to the same height as this, and then I'm gonna add this piece of angle iron on to the side here so it has like a ledge like this does. And then this seat bracket, which goes on the bottom of the seat, I'm going to put and rig up to sit on this edge, and then that edge that I weld the angle iron in on. So I'll have to redo the seat belt bracket, get that side on there. But that's kind of the plan for right now. Well, the engine stuff's being put on hold, so I'm going to work on the seat for now. I got the catch can to do. I do have some suspension, fender flares, bunch of other little projects I can do while I'm waiting for parts to get here for the engine. So that's kind of the plan. Just gonna get moving on the seat, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated. Alright guys, so I got the seat, the old seat rail bolted to the seat. I'm gonna have to cut off some tabs at some point. I'm just not sure which ones yet. And then I took the old seat rail and riser, I guess you want to call it. I marked the one side that I need to cut off, and that's where I'm at right now. I can show you that. So I gotta cut like this line right here, basically. It's really dark over here, sorry guys. But I got the little grinder cutter wheel hooked up. Gotta do that. Then I got the old rail mounted on there, but I'm gonna have to cut off some legs here and there, whichever ones aren't gonna fit once that's all ready to go. So I'm going to cut that up, and then I can kind of actually put the seat on there and kind of see where it's gonna sit at. And I still have to add my angle iron bracket tab, but I'll explain that later. All right. Alright guys, so I got that part cut off. I ended up switching from the air grinder to just a regular Sawzall, just because I kept using up all the air in the compressor and not making much progress. So here we go. Got this part cut off. This was on there, like so. Now she's gone. So now essentially I have this side and this side, and I'm going to take my angle iron and make my own, make my own edge. So I got two ledges like that, and I can mount the seat bracket right to that. So, time to do some more test fitting on some stuff. Probably going to stick the slider back in the car, and then stick the seat on top of that and kind of get in and get it side to side and kind of front to back. Try to get out without moving it too much and kind of get some rough marks on where it's going to be. I don't know where to put tabs and loose tabs, etc. Just kind of check everything out and look at it. Just kind of assess it as you go. Alright, next step. Guys, we have new brackets for the seat. Let's check them out. So I took 2 pieces of angle iron, left these rods in there just for support. Then we got these 2. I used a level to go from all the 4 corners to make sure they were level. So I just tacked them in there. Now I got 2 tacks on the top and 1 on the bottom. I gotta cut all of these old nubs off of each corner on that. Then I can set it back on here and actually position it better. So next step is to cut those 4 little legs off, then put it back on this seat here, make sure it slides around and fits in the right area. I'll probably set it back in the car and sit in it again, get back out, check where everything's at, and then figure out if I'm going to actually weld that bracket to this rail or if I'll drill holes and bolt it to it, which could work because I do have the factory hole here and the factory hole here for the original seat, so I could use those 2 and then drill 1 here and 1 back here and mount it that way. Drill the holes there. Or I could just weld this whole thing on and just use these 4 holes to unbolt it. So we're just gonna have to see what's gonna work out better once I get it positioned where it needs to be. So I'm just rambling. We're just gonna get to it. Alright guys, so I had the seat in the car, put the slider in the car, and I put the seat on top of it, got in, kind of adjusted the slider up a little bit, got the seat so it fit the slider, where I'm going to add it. Pulled it out, pulled the bracket off the seat, cut all those little nubs off. I was just grinding down the metal where I'm going to weld it. I'm actually going to weld the seat bracket to the slider itself, and then the seat will just be able to bolt right to that, just like kind of like a normal seat should be. And then that will go back in. I'll still have to figure out where the seat belt buckle I'm gonna weld that onto on the side yet, but I can do that once the seat's finally done and in the car. The brackets are still tacked up right now. I'm probably just gonna tack the next bracket onto the slider and then bolt the seat back on, put it back in, test fit it one last time before I fully weld everything, and then we should be good to go. Alright, we are ready to weld or tack the seat bracket to the seat slider. I think that's how it goes. Alright, I got this bracket kind of clamped in place on the slider itself, and I'm going to weld along the side there, along this edge here, along the underside, along this whole side here, along the bottom here, which I can show more of once I actually can flip it around a little bit. But yeah, we're getting there. Alright guys, we're about to bog deep on the welder here and get this bracket put on this slider. Check it out. Guys, Wagon Hunter is officially a race car. It has a racing seat now, so I mean, has a racing seat, it's a race car. It's pretty simple. Doesn't look the greatest, but Wagon Hunter does not look the greatest, so I feel like it fits the car perfectly. Let's check it out here. It's pretty dark. Let me try to get a little bit of some light. Let's see. Corbeau. She's in there. She doesn't look the greatest, but she's in there. Pretty much. Oh, this light. I have to get a spot for the buckle. I'm going to use the existing buckle and bolt. I'm just going to find a nut that matches the bolt, weld it to the inside of the slider or the seat bracket, whatever. That's kind of what theirs is. It's just a welded nut on the inside. So I'll just find a spot where it needs to be, drill a hole, put the nut on the inside, weld it right in. We should be done with the seat, besides painting the parts that I welded so they don't rust. But yeah, Wagon Hunter is officially a race car. Killing it. Alright guys, I located a spot for the seatbelt buckle. I found a nut here. I just cleaned up the edges so I can weld on it. I drilled the hole already, and it works out that it actually goes through one of those angle iron plates that I welded on for the seat. So that'll be really good to weld to. It'll be really strong. I won't worry about it coming off if I do get in an accident or anything like that. It should be really solid. I'll show you guys that right here. My bolt. So here's the hole. Drops in. I'll take the nut, go from the back side. I'll just tighten this down just like that, and then I'll weld the bolts in there so I know it's in the right spot. So that is where we're at. I'm going to weld that on, and then I can take it off and paint everything, and I'll just be ready to go back together. Alright guys, so I got the seat belt buckle nut all welded to the frame rail. Everything's all attached. I pretty much just need to disassemble everything, paint it all up so there's no rust going on, and then we should be good. Yeah, check out these welds right here. Oh yeah. Woo. What you know about those welds? Those are top shelf welds for me, because I weld once every couple months and never taken welding classes or anything, so those are top shelf dimes right there. Woo. Alright guys, again, it's a race car now, has a racing seat. I'll keep you guys updated. That's it for today. See ya.